Hi, guys. Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal. I'm with the Dog Psychology and Training Center. So, for those of you that are just joining us, the Dog Psychology and Training Center is a family owned, family ran dog training business. And we have employees and stuff that help us with the dogs. But our whole goal and philosophy in life is to have a better household with your dog. And what that means to me as a mom is calm, right? Having a calm house. And that, I don't know about you, but for me, the louder my house gets, the more dogs are barking, the more kids are screaming, the more running around that's happening, the more I can just feel like my face turning red, like the old school cartoons, and like steam coming out of my ears. And I need quiet, right? Stop treating your dog like a kid. They're not kids. Stop doing it. And we kind of have a different philosophy, and I'll tell you why. But before we get started, I just want to say hello again to those of you that are just jumping on. My name is Crystal Neerman with the Dog Psychology and Training Center, and today's topic is about treating your dog like a kid. Why or why not? So the old adage are the trainers that say, stop treating your dog like a kid. Dogs are not people. They're absolutely right. Dogs are not people. They are animals. They have different instincts than us. Those instincts can be more aggressive than ours. And I don't mean aggressive in that they're going to rip your throat out, but like we don't ever see a human child killing a squirrel in the backyard and eating it. Right? I mean, like that's just not what they do. I hope. But dogs are animals, right? Even though they've been tamed for generations, they are animals. And so they are different in humans in that regard. However, dogs are some of the most intelligent animals, and more important than their intelligence level is their connectiveness to humans. And so they are pack animals, yes, but they are also human animals, and that their pack includes humans. And so their IQ, when you think about how intelligent a dog is very similar to that of a toddler. Now, I don't know if you're like me, I underestimated toddlers until I had them of my own. And I'm like, wow, these guys are smart, they're conniving, they're sneaky, and I love them to pieces, but they're much smarter than we give them credit for. And so dogs are very similar. And so when we say treat your dog like a child, we mean treat your dog like a toddler. If your toddler was yelling at a guest that just came into the house and trying to jump and climb up their legs because they wanted them to hold them, I would hope that you would pull your toddler back and say, hey, that's not how we greet people at the door. We have to build relationship with them first. We have to say, hi, how are ya? If we don't know that person, then that's totally inappropriate behavior. And if it is grandma or grandpa, maybe that's a little rude and aggressive for them, and you can maybe hurt grandma and grandpa approaching them that way. And so we know how to address toddlers when they have these attitudes, but we don't necessarily know how to address dogs when it comes to this. And so the tendency that I see is owners just verbally telling the dog to stop, but not actually role playing through what they should do. Going back to the similarities to toddlers, when you tell your toddler to stop and say, this is not how we greet people, this is what we do, they're not really getting that. Toddlers learn through play. They learn through role playing. And so I have learned that for my own toddlers, I have to get down on my knees and get down to their level, and I have to role play with them. So I have to hold them back before they can run and jump at whoever and say, this is where we say, hi, how are ya? How have you been? My name's Alaska. My name's Raider. My name's Rain. Nice to meet you. And we're teaching them that social etiquette by role playing with them. And before we even have a person at the door, I'm doing this with them. So I pretend to be that person that comes to the door, and I teach them how to stop and think. And we just role play through these actions, these things that happen throughout your life until it becomes a instinctual response, right? They just know we no longer jump on people. We say, hi, how are you? And so going back to dogs, a lot of our families tend to get stumped in their training because they never get past that verbal phase, or the things that they have tried just haven't worked. So they just kind of ignore it and hope that it goes away. So what we do is, there are some families that leash their kids. We almost did, but we just never got around to actually buying the harness. But we can leash dogs, right? And so leash your dog and actually walk them through these steps and role play these scenarios over and over again with yourself, and then practice with trusted friends. And so, I would have, friend get together and play dates, and I would, tell the families, hey, we're struggling with social etiquette right now with the kids. So, one, please forgive us if they do something inappropriate. And two, please help us hold them accountable so that they will get better. Because again, a lot of friends just let toddlers get away with things because they don't know what our rules are, or they don't want to overstep someone's boundaries. And I say, please hold my kids accountable. If they say something rude, or you say hi and they don't say hi back, or whatever it is, like, I want you to call them out and be like, hey, that hurt my feelings because you didn't say hi. Like, I'm not going to force my kids to hug somebody because it's their body and that's their choice. But it is socially responsible and polite to say hi back. And so just little things like that we would start with those trusted friends, and then we'd work our way up so that when a stranger comes to the door, our kids know how to respond in those situations. The same for those dogs. They know how to respond in those situations. So treat your dog like a kid. They have the IQ of a toddler. And dogs are so smart. If you haven't yet, look up a dog called Chaser, or named Chaser. It's from John C. Piley he has passed away in the last few years, but he was from Spartanburg, and he was a psychology professor, and he had a dog, a border collie named Chaser. And Chaser was a really great girl, and he used her as part of his psychology class. And each semester, he'd have new students teach her a new task or trick or command. And so she, over her course of her lifetime, she learned over 1,000 words and their meanings. And so she knew commands like, sit and come and things like that. But she also knew directional commands like left, right, in front of, behind, above, under. Same as toddlers, right? They can learn those things. She knew common and formal names of nouns. So they could say, go get a ball, and she could go pick any ball she wanted. Or they could say, go get Spiky. And let's say Spiky was a particular blue ball that had spikes on it. She would know to go get Spiky. She also had the ability to deduct. So what I mean by that was they would show her a picture of a human baby and say, go get this from a toy pile. And she'd go and get a baby doll because it was the closest thing that looked like that baby. And so, not that you need to teach your dog 1,000 commands, but that's how intelligent they are. They can be held accountable to a much higher standard than we let them because they play the dumb card very well. If I could play the dumb card and still get paid, oh man, I would love life, right? But that's exactly what dogs do. They pretend like they don't know what you're talking about because they have selective hearing and they're choosing not to listen, but they still get paid. They still get lots of unconditional love and affection from you. They get food from you. They get toys. They get treats. They get all of these things that they just start to think that they're entitled to. And that's where a lot of these sassy behaviors come from. If my dog's being disrespectful to me or anybody else, I am going to hold them accountable to that and say, no, don't give him that treat right now. Put that toy away because he was a jerk to you. And we don't reward that kind of behavior. And yes, it sounds kind of mean. And that dog may go walking away like, nobody loves me, woe is me. But that second time he comes around and he tries to engage again, they're going to remember their manners, or they're at least going to do better. And we're going to reward that and say, yes, give him that treat right there. Stay calm, but let them know that he did a great job or she did a great job, or give them that toy and actually play with them for a little bit so they can keep making those right choices. But hold them accountable. Don't just give them a treat because you have it in your hand. Make them be respectful for it. And so I'm not asking you to make your dog jump through a flaming hoop of fire and balance on one leg before you give them that treat, but have some sort of standard, just like you would with a toddler, to get that treat. If my toddler comes marching into the kitchen and demands a piece of candy, my immediate answer is going to be nope, because we don't reward that kind of behavior. If she comes into the kitchen and says, excuse me, mom, may I please have a piece of candy? My goodness, even if I don't want to give her the candy, it's really hard to say no, right? Because we want to praise that good behavior. So hold your dogs accountable to the level that you would hold your toddler or a toddler too. So if you don't have kids, or your kids have grown up and moved out of the house, whatever level that you think you will hold them to, or that you did hold them to, hold your dog accountable to that. Make standards, make consequences. What are going to be the consequences for those negative behaviors? Is it ignoring that behavior? Or your dog, after they give you a rude behavior, is it withholding that toy or treat that you were going to give to them? Is it having a leash on them, which is my preferred, always have a leash on a dog that's in training or not yet mindful of all of its manners. Have that leash on your dog so when they go to jump or they go to try to steal that treat out of your hand or whatever they're doing, you can grab that, regain control and say, no, that's not what we do here. And when you start to become serious and confident with your communication with your dog will start to look at you through a different lens. Not a bad lens, not a scared lens, but a respect lens of, wow, you know what? She's a really great leader. She is really making good choices, and I am grateful. Just like kids love boundaries and discipline, dogs do too, right? They love to know black and white, what's right and what's wrong. Because sometimes I jump and nip at you and you give me a treat, and then other times you yell aggressively at me and say I was a bad dog. Be clear and concise. This is a family meeting. So you want to get your whole household together. So if you have roommates or you have family that or friends that come frequently over to your house, have with you, teach them together, or at least don't teach, but talk to them together and say, all right, so are we going to allow this behavior anymore? Do we like them on the couch? Do we like them on the love seat? Okay, no love seat, yes to the couch. Or you know what? I'd rather not have dogs in my room at all. So no dogs in this room, but the kids don't care if the dogs go in their room. So that's fine. Set these boundaries, but everybody needs to be on the same page, just like with a toddler, because toddlers are very manipulative and they know that the rules are different with some people than they are others. So, new people or new friends, new parents of friends, my kids always tried to kind of manipulate and be like, oh no, my mom doesn't make us clean up toys when we're done playing. Yeah, we do. Or when Noni or Grandma or Nana or Gigi were around, oh, the rules were definitely different. Mom and Dad did not get to have a say. If Nana said they were getting a cookie, or if Noni said they were going to go to the park and play, even though they were being bad and naughty, they got to do that. Okay, and that's their thing. But the rules still apply to me in my house, right? And the same for our dogs. They know that different people have different boundaries, and they will push those. So making sure everybody's on the same place or same page and same pace, but the same page of that accountability will help you across the board. It just helps training go so much faster because it makes it clear and concise and black and white. And that's what dogs need to learn. So when we say, do absolutely treat your dog like a child, if your child had consequences for that bad behavior, please make sure your dog has consequences for that bad behavior. If your child had positive consequences for a great behavior, please make sure your dog has positive, great, happy, fun consequences for that behavior. Life is full of consequences. So to not give our dogs consequences gives them no purpose in life. There is no ups and downs. There is no meaning of life. It is kind of like, nah, I can do whatever I want. And they never have this feeling of satisfaction and gratitude. When you have these boundaries, these consequences, and you follow through, meaning I discipline my kids if they are doing something wrong, I discipline my dogs if they're doing something wrong, but I highly reward them when they do that same exercise over and make the best choice, the right choice. I highly reward them for that. And that takes my child from being like, oh, I got away with it, to, yeah, I earned that. I worked really hard. I learned how to do this properly to get what I wanted or what I needed. And dogs need that same level of accomplishment. So I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to end here. If you have any questions, please post in the comments. If you have any topics next week that you would like me to go over, whether that is a dog training question, a philosophical dog question, or why do some people say this and some people say this, or why are there whatever, any related topic, please post in the comments, because I want to talk about what you want to hear. And I can't do that unless you speak up and tell me. So that's all I got for you. Do treat your dog like a child. Do have consequences, both good and bad, for good and bad behavior. And that's it. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. My name is Crystal, and I am with the Dog Psychology and Training Center. If you like what you saw, or you know somebody that could benefit from this, please share or comment below and tag them on this post so that it can help as many people as we can share it out to help. And if you would like to subscribe, there is 3 little dots in the corner here that you can you can click on, and it'll say subscribe to live videos. So when I go live next week, you'll get notified of it and you can watch the videos next week. All right, guys, that's all I got. Have a great Thursday. Bye. I don't know if you're still here or not, but my computer seems to be frozen.